On last week's episode, we traveled across this beautiful country to the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals. We made a surprise visit to Keith Knoll's shop in Iowa, leaving him some merch and checking out their recent builds. We were able to unload the Boss and reunite it with the original numbers matching engine that we've been waiting a few months for. Had an epic inspection by Dave Wise, going over the Pink Bee and getting it validated. This week's episode, we continue at MCACN with the Boss 429 story of reuniting the engine with a great interview with the gentleman that pulled the engine out of it 50 years ago. Got invited to an epic private car collection on Saturday evening. Met some friends on the way at a gas station and stopped by on the way back and got a lesson on the rapid transit system and an epic poster to go along with it. There's a secondary reason we're here. We pulled a '69 Boss 429 out of a barn slash shop down in South Texas, just outside of Houston. After about 3 years of going back and forth with a gentleman by the name of Brad, who knew of the original engine, which we'll tell you the story here in a little bit. The engine, we actually were able to put a deposit on the engine, and what would make it even cooler was if we could bring the car to MCACN and reunite with the engine with the car, since the engine literally is about an hour from MCACN. It was in Indiana.
So we found the car in 2020. Our friend Rudy in Houston was the one that got us the lead. Hey, this car's available. Do you want it? Absolutely. So I drive down to Houston, make the deal, we get the car back. He posted on Instagram. Somebody random grabbed the pictures, the VIN number, and then shared it to the registry because it was like a lost car, unknown, whatever you want to say. And then Brad chimes in on the registry, I think, and one of our guys emailed him and, hey, I've got the motor, we've got the car, went back and forth. Fast forward 3 years. Here we are.
A little tug of war, right, Brad?
Yeah.
Well, somebody emailed me first, and I don't know if it was
Bailey.
It was somebody from
Bailey's
the
over
registry,
there.
maybe. Or no, he's from Mopars5150.
Yeah,
Bailey.
Yes.
Bailey contacted me first and said, "Hey, do you still have this motor or whatever?" Because my post was old from back when we first started looking for the car. That was before I bought the engine from Rob.
And that was a good 10 years ago, probably, when you first started looking for the car.
Yeah, we've been looking for it for at least 10 years.
You said, you got the motor in '73 when I was born.
I bought the engine in 1973.
Yeah, when I was born.
I was a NASCAR.
I was born then too.
I was a NASCAR mechanic, crew chief. My dad owned a racing team. We had 6 regular full race Boss 429 motors. And this came for sale in the Pittsburgh Press.
Pittsburgh Press.
The guy had pulled it out of the car, put a 429 wedge in the car, and had the engine all apart. He was kind of into drag racing, and I don't know if he ran out of money or whatever, but he decided to part ways with it.
Wow.
So we bought it just for spare parts, and when you're racing this stuff, if you throw a pusher rod, you crack a valve cover and everything.
Right.
So that's what we bought the motor for. Well, we never use it. Well, then NASCAR came out with their 8 pound per cubic inch rule, and we were running all big inch motors. My dad said, "I'm done with these assholes," basically.
Yeah.
And he sold off all of his good stuff, and he called me. He said, "Hey," by then I'd moved out here to Indiana and was working for Nichols Engineering in Griffith.
So that's Griffith?
That's where he worked.
That's where we got this car.
Griffith, Indiana.
Griffith?
He worked for Ray Nichols Engineering.
I came out here. Ended up out here because of my NASCAR experience working for Ray Nichols, who built all of Chrysler's NASCAR cars from 64 to 70.
And he had the Pontiac NASCAR program.
And he had the Pontiac
then
NASCAR
he had the Pontiac
program.
NASCAR
He
program.
had the Pontiac NASCAR
So that's how
program.
this got from Pennsylvania to Indiana?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I married, my wife and I got married, and we lived out here, and I had the motor out here, and I intended to do something with it. I didn't know what.
Right.
And I just hung on to it. Well, I'm not a person that normally brags about what I got in the garage or whatever, because you never know who's going to come and steal it off of here or whatever. And Brad's dad was working at his business. They were in the feed mill business, and I used to go and talk to Brad's dad at the feed mill.
Right.
And I showed up there in my '29 Ford one day to buy duck feed, and Brad's dad, Max, they were looking at the Model A and everything, and one of their counter person pointed to Max and said, well, you should see what he's got. And I looked at Max and I said, what do you got? And he said, I got a Boss 429 Mustang. And I just nonchalantly said to Max, I said, I got an engine for that. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, right.
Oh my.
You know, like, you don't have one of those engines. I said, yeah, I do. And I know when I left the feed mill, he didn't believe me. About 2 weeks later,
We know that feeling.
Yeah.
about 2 weeks later, Max shows up in my driveway. Hey, can I take a look at that engine? Yeah. I had it apart. It was all tucked away on the workbenches in the garage and everything.
Wow.
He says, damned if you don't. Well, unfortunately, Max passed away. What was it, 20 years ago? In 2000,
23
Max
years
passed
ago.
away. And in the meantime, I had become friends with Brad through his dad. Brad knew me. We weren't what I would call friends. We were acquaintances. And I came to find out later, his dad told him before he passed away, you keep after Ron, keep in touch with Ron. If he sells that and decides to sell that engine, you buy it. He had orders to buy that engine off of me when it comes up for sale. So he would come and visit whenever he lived in Wisconsin. He was living in North Carolina, and he'd come and visit me.
Not to interrupt you, but what time period was this? Like about what year?
This was
Max passed in 2000.
Yeah, and it's been ever since 2000 for the last 23 years.
23 years, okay.
Yeah, but I had the engine for 50.
Right, you had it. Well, I just turned 50.
And
so.
even when we were looking for the car, when he let me look
Well,
for
I
the
had
car,
told him-
he still had the engine.
Yeah, I
I hadn't
kept the
purchased
engine.
it from him yet.
I told him, I said, finally he kept bugging me, hounding me about buying the engine and everything. So one day he came and we were sitting there drinking a couple beers, and I said, I'll tell you what, Brad, if you can find that car that came out of, because we took the VIN number off the back of the block.
Right.
I said, if you can find the car that engine came out of, I said, I will sell it to you. And my intent with the deal was, if you can find that car and buy it, I will let you have the engine so that you have a numbers matching car.
Yeah.
He interpreted it different. But anyway, he searched for, it was good 10 years.
I gave up after a while. I got a phone call from Texas from a gentleman who had seen the car. And then later the story changed to, I've bought the car. Do you have the engine? I want to buy the engine.
Was that you at that time?
No.
Okay.
This was a Orlando Dean.
That's who we bought it from. Because it was in Texas, southern Texas.
Okay, well, Orlando told me that he had the car, was going to secure the car. All I knew was the area code for his mobile number was Dallas area.
Gotcha.
That's all I knew. He wouldn't tell me where it was. He wouldn't prove to me that he had purchased it. He just said, I've seen the car. I've seen the KK number, the serial number. That's the motor. Will you sell me the motor? I said, well, you need to prove to me that you purchased the car, and then we can talk about it. And he got angry, and eventually we just kind of broke off communication. And then I kind of gave up, because I'm told, Ron, the car exists. I think it's in Texas somewhere, but damn if I know how we going to find, where it is.
Right.
This guy won't talk to me, won't return emails. He's just like,
and I don't think that guy actually ever bought it.
I don't think he owned it.
I think another guy owned it, and he was trying to make it put it together.
He had seen it. What he was trying to do was buy the motor and buy the car kind of like at the same time so that he knew he had both secure.
Right.
And that's why he kind of got frustrated with me and said, forget it.
Yeah.
Or maybe he decided it's going to be too much money, forget this.
Yeah.
So
But in the meantime, I hung on to the engine, and it was out in the garage. And I had toyed with different plans. One of the plans that I had toyed with, this is the ultimate Ford engine. a Ford's racing engine.
At the time.
That and the camera.
Right.
Yeah.
427 camera. And I had mentioned to Brad all the since then I've gotten into pre-war Fords and racing them, stock pre-war Fords. And it pains me the number of 30s and 40s Fords that have Chevrolet engines in it. And we were sitting there drinking a beer one day, and I told Brad, I said, what I would really like to do with that engine is get a 53 Vet, a Vet that everybody would love to give their left.
First Vet ever.
Yeah, the first jet.
Awesome. And put that engine in it, and then take it to the Chevy Corvette Nationals.
So you just wanted to piss them off.
They already pissed me. They already pissed me off with all the Chevy engines, all the Corvettes in the disguise of pre-war Fords.
How many hot rods?
And then the Mopar guys bought it.
And then the Mopar guys bought it.
How many hot rods have 350s in them? What's it got in
All of
it?
them.
Chevy
But
350,
anyway,
small block 350.
anyway, and then I thought of just building a street rod with it, and I tossed around different ideas what to do with it. Well, then I got to checking parts for it. Being an engine builder, a professional engine builder for a long time, I know if I put that engine together and I first started up, I might have an oil leak or something, or I got to pull a head off, pull something apart, compression leak, something didn't quite go together right. A set of head gaskets for the damn thing is like $900. You know, if you got to pull one, and you're not going to buy, if you got to pull one bank off, you're not going to buy one head gasket.
Right.
You got to buy a set.
You're going to buy a full set of 8.
Yeah.
You're already scaring us with the prices. No, we know what they are.
No, I'm sure you guys did your due diligence.
Yes.
But I don't have that kind of money. I'm not a wealthy man. I'm well situated, but I'm not a wealthy man by any means. I don't have the kind of money because my daughter has a 71 Mustang fastback, and I thought about putting it in that when I restore it for her. And when I'm dead, if she has to have it worked on or anything,
still the same money.
It's not the engine for her.
Right.
Because she's single, you know, on her own, independent. So I decided right then and there, I'm going to call Brad and I'm going to sell him the motor.
Okay. So how long ago was that? Just a couple years ago?
That was last. I can tell you because I
got to look at the paperwork. I haven't owned it very long.
I got date stamps on the pictures when I was cleaning it up for him.
Yeah, I have to go back to the photographs too. Long enough for me to.
Because I was cleaning the parts up for him and everything, and I would send him pictures. So it was March 2022.
Spring of 2022.
Spring of 2022.
Awesome.
So it was last year.
But I didn't come down and get it from you and pay you till when was that? Like May or something?
Yeah, I don't remember. I told him. I said.
He's a man of his word. He probably just
handshake
the deal.
I was getting worried. Like if I don't get down there and get round the cash, he may put this thing on eBay and may be freaking gone.
He was worried. You know, right away he's going to send me the check. I said,
I send you a check?
I don't want the check. I said, I emailed him. I've got the email still in my archives on my Hotmail account. I said, Brad, the engine is yours. It's sat here for 50 years.
That's the old school golden handshake. And that's awesome.
It's sat here for 50 years. It can sit here another year. It's yours. I promised it to you, and I'm not going to renege on it. I don't even care if somebody calls me and offers me more money for it.
Right.
It's yours.
Yes.
That's the way it is. And I dealt with Brad that way because not only because he was a friend, I quoted him a price on it, and he never tried to
beat me up for it.
He said, I think that's a fair, I could show you the emails of the negotiation. He said, I think that's a fair price.
It took a lot of people to get this to come together for it to come back to this.
It did.
Him, myself. And it's actually really, really cool that this has happened.
Yeah. So then I got he paid me, and that was the end of the story, basically. And then he called me. He still comes whenever he's passing through town. His mom still lives down there sometimes. He always comes by. He's become a very dear friend of mine. And when he called me about a month, it was back in September, I think. He said, "What are you doing November 18th?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "It's my birthday." I said, "But I don't know." I said, "I don't know what's going on." My daughter has anything planned or anything. He says, "Well, you're going to the Muscle Car Nationals." I said, "Oh, really?" He says, "Yeah." He says he had finally negotiated with you guys the whole deal and everything.
Make it happen.
And he says, we're going to reunite the engine with the car up there, and I want you to be there.
And he was nice enough to, I mean, we gave him a deposit, what, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
And he was nice enough to hold on to it so that we could bring the car, so we could reunite it and literally push it in. We wanted to put it in the car and push it into the barn find section. We were missing those brackets, so we weren't able to do it. But really, literally, it worked out better here than being here. There's a lot of cars out there that haven't been there.
He told me what you wanted to do, and I suggested to him, I said, that engine would be better off from a selling standpoint if it's outside the car where people can see the VIN numbers and compare and see that, you go to any one of these Boss 429 motors, unless you have a magnet and a good bright light
to see it. Yes.
You're not going to tell if their numbers matching or not.
Yeah, we think it looked great just the way it is,
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out real good.
That's crazy. That's amazing. So they got separated literally longer than I thought. I thought it was in the late 70s, early 80s, but you're saying 1973, you acquired this.
Registered in 72, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And there may have been registration. You look at that paperwork I gave you from the Pennsylvania DMV,
Yeah.
it'll show the year on there, like last known registration and the name and the address of the owner. And look at the dates on that and tell me what you think it means. So it might have been registered still with the DMV in the 80s, I'm not sure. But Ron knows that the motor was out of the car way before that.
The guy put a different motor in it, so he kept racing it. This left, car stayed in Pennsylvania at some point, went to Indiana, or went to Texas.
Somehow got to
and
Texas.
Our friend had a friend, so it's all these friends, all these people that come together, right?
No.
Our friend had a friend that knew about the car and said, "Hey, do you guys want a Boss?" Yeah, well, we want the Boss, and so we went down and bought the. But we're missing the hood scoop, the engine, the transmission.
Now I'm going to give you the coup de grace.
Here we go.
And you make sure you get this. When I bought this engine, I'm not going to tell you what I paid for it.
Why? It's fun to hear that. $50.
I could have bought this car along with it for another $1,200.
Oh my gosh.
Which seemed like a lot of money at the time.
It was a lot of money at the time.
In 1973. I could have paid the guy another $1,200. At the time, I didn't have a job. I wasn't working. I was working with my dad in the garage. Didn't have any money. My future wife was with me, and she was elbowing me and said, "Go ahead and buy it. I have the money." And I thought, no, I'm not.
No wife says that. No wife ever.
She wasn't my wife.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
She wasn't. I said my future wife.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
She just happened to be there, and she's elbowing me like this. Buy it. I said, no, that's fine.
That's why.
And I didn't buy it, but I could have bought this for $1,200.
Wow.
Well, it wasn't $1,200 for us.
I'll tell you what I paid. Want me to tell you what I paid?
Yeah.
$350.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. If you want to tell them, otherwise I'm going to go to my grave.
I paid $350 for it.
The best investment ever.
Kept it out of the scrapyard.
I could have had the whole shebang, and all the missing parts were there then. For $1,600.
Wow.
Yeah, when it got to Texas, I guess what we understood from the guy that owned it and the kind of the stories that we got is that the hood got stolen with the hood scoop.
It sat outside. People started stealing.
It was a whole bunch of people just started taking parts off of it. So it wasn't that it got parted out.
Yeah.
Things got literally stolen off the car.
Yeah. Anybody with a wrench came by to harvest parts.
Right.
But anyway, you got the motor now.
This is the most important part. Is to make sure that we get this to this car.
What have I been telling you all along?
It's the most important part.
We've had arguments since his dad passed away. The only real thing that makes this a Boss 429 Mustang is this.
Yes. And that tag on the door.
And a few other, the spindles.
But without this,
a few other small
it's no longer a Boss 429. Right. All these specialty cars here, the main thing is the engines.
Exactly.
But anyway,
it just shows how small the world is.
Anyway, I'm glad that
I'm super glad, man. I really appreciate everybody coming together to make this happen because this is what we strive to do.
If anybody actually takes the time and expense, they don't have to do a complete restoration on it. Just make a nice running driving car.
Actually, I think that's the plan, is to make it a nice running driving car.
I can tell by looking at it, it's missing a lot of stuff.
But it's not rusty. No. And it was in almost Houston. And they don't ever stay outside for a minute
but they've
and not
got
get rusty
engine now, and they can make a nice, good driving, like Brad's got. Brad's got one hell of a nice Boss.
Yeah, we found that out. We didn't know that he even had one, and then all of a sudden he told us that yesterday.
Yeah.
So, or day before yesterday.
His could be made into a 100-point car with very little effort.
But this got delivered to a theater across the street from MCACN. You get back into this.
Yep.
With a group effort.
We had it done if not for those brackets.
Yeah.
So
this worked out good too.
I told you that I mentioned before that 429 wedge was in here. When whoever pulled that 429 wedge out, they probably unbolted those brackets.
Yes, probably.
And took them with the motor mount.
And Brad screwed up and didn't bring them.
I thought of everything, but apparently not. Missed one important detail.
But actually, to be honest with you, it actually worked out better. It was better out here than it would have been in here. So it actually really worked out
they're in
better.
the car. They're laying on the floor.
And we have an enclosed trailer that we're going to push this
Did
in
he bring
and
you
push
all
this
the
in
parts?
behind it. What's that?
Did he bring you all the parts?
Yeah, we got. Yeah,
Did
we
he bring
got
you the extra set of heads and the extra set of valve covers?
No, probably not.
Kept that.
I wish I had an extra set of heads. Could use them for my car if I were blowing up.
You can delete that part of that video.
He's going to edit it.
But if you guys are happy, we're happy.
We're happy. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's
happy, and we're tickled that we've reunited one more numbers matching motor.
Now that Brad, I know Brad's got your information. If I ever decide I'm looking for anything.
When you get it running driving though, first test drive, I got dibs.
Flying in.
You got my number. Just call me, email, text.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you gonna go first? Can I ride shotgun? All right.
No, you can drive it.
That's awesome.
We'll take it for test drive.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you again.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Troy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cutting them up and taking them to the junkyard.
I know how all these cars were put together.
It was already loose by the time I got here. Clean floors. Nothing. A lot of crazy stuff happens out on the road. We get a lot of flag downs, and you know, we stop at a gas station, takes an hour to get out of there. Guy comes in this van, and all of a sudden he says he got a Hemi in the back of his van. How does somebody just drive around with a 426 Hemi in the back of their car? So we told him he should come to the MCACN show, and lo and behold, he showed up. We're gonna stop by at his house on the way home. He has a few things to show us. He's got a very unique poster that we're interested in, and so we'll see how this all plays out. But he's a funny guy. He's got great friends. I think we're gonna have a good time.
These are the two gentlemen that I met coming back from Colorado, pulling down the highway with them two trucks out front.
Yep.
And I turned around and went back, and their astonishing cars that were on the cars were just utterly fascinating to me.
They were just explaining to me what each one had in it and what they were worth, and it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
So anyway, I pulled in because I got that Hemi in the back, and I told them, as astonishing as what their stuff was, I got something to show you. And they both looked at me like I was an old 81-year-old dummy. And until we opened
did not.
Well, yeah.
We just thought you were like us, 5150, that's all.
Crazy. And I got to call Dave because he wants to know if you're here.
I didn't know you were inviting over the whole city.
I didn't know they showed up, guys.
That goes underneath the dash of the car?
Yeah,
A record player?
yeah. 1959 Mopars.
59, is that like the 300s and stuff?
Oh, you could get them in Plymouths and Dodges and everything.
All of them, huh?
Yeah.
I've never even seen one.
Want to buy it?
Sure, what you want for it?
Whatever's a fair price.
I just told you I've never even seen one. How do I know what's fair?
Knew that existed.
I don't know. Let me think about it for a minute.
Okay. I'm
right.
sure we're going to be friends for a while, so.
Oh, you're not a shit in there, fellas.
We've had a good time, huh?
Oh my God, it's been remarkable. Here, open her up, guys.
Gosh, this is beautiful. I love it.
If I get that, I'm going to put the 440 in it first and build a Hemi this winter. And then next summer I'll pull the 440 and put the Hemi in it and put the 440 in the Chrysler.
So that's the poster,
That
huh?
is the poster that nobody can believe. But that's an original dealership promotional deal.
That's very cool.
Now, if you go online, you can find them that are this big.
Yeah,
You know, reproductions, but they're
Right.
real small.
right.
This is an original. Had to be a hippie that drew that son of a gun back in 70. What do you think? This is my 440.
I think I'd leave that in there though, and get yourself a 70 for that Hemi motor.
Oh, yeah?
It's a 70 motor.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to see her in here for a clone because I want to put that in there.
Oh,
make
okay.
it
You got
sleep-
other plans. I got
Make
you.
a
I got
sleeper
you.
out of that Chrysler.
Man, that is beautiful.
And that is a 1965 440 block.
Yep. 440.
And
So no stamp, no VIN on them. In 65. Neat motor.
but it's got the stuff on the side of the block that tells you the year and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, absolutely. I just mean the VINs and stuff
And
like
then,
that. Very cool.
So that,
You definitely do a good job. You do it right.
well, I sure try. Or we all do. You see the old gram scale. I've never done a drug in my life other than prescription. But you take that gram scale, and up between that potty and that cardboard box is a mechanism up there that I weighed rods with. Heavy end of the rod, light end of the rod. That's how I balanced all my rods. Rudy.
Wow.
Rudy.
Get that from Rudy?
I got part of that over there from Rudy, yeah. The gram scale I bought at a garage sale. There's my collection from trophies from the cars. And
Very cool.
over here and over there. And
Very cool.
our Coronado Car Club started in 1959. And shortly after that, we bought a 53 Studebaker two-door hardtop. And we put a 58 Pontiac engine in it and B&M Hydro 57 Chevy rear end. And then 62 Arnold Beswick, and Arnie the Flying Farmer Beswick. You'll find him everywhere. and he was going from carburation to injection. Pontiac produced about 50 intake manifolds, 2 4-barrels. 8 of them had an extra hole between the 2 4-barrels. Arnie sold it to our member for $200. He still wants it back. But anyway,
Badly.
yeah. So anyway, Dave, behind you there, next to the door, nope, down lower, there's the blueprints.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, we're racing this Pontiac powered Studebaker at Cordova, Illinois. At Cordova, Illinois. And we have a Strongberg 97 Ford carburetor in the middle of that. And this guy from Detroit, Michigan, leaves a message at Cordova, Illinois saying, if you see the Pontiac, the Studebaker guys, make sure you have them get a hold of me. And he left his name and stuff. So we got back from the drag strip that day. And this is the linkage on the other side, guys.
Those are original drawings.
And
That's
he's
incredible.
Got copies of the original.
Yeah, it's still incredible.
He calls us and he tells us, hey guys, you got the right idea with that Strongberg 97 in the middle, but you're all wrong. Oh, thanks. So anyway, he says, I have got the original blueprints that Pontiac designed in 62 or 4 for this to be a dealership installed option on Pontiacs. Well, they built one Pontiac motor and tried this manifold on it with this complicated linkage and that carburetor deal in the middle.
Tell them why the 2-barrel carburetor.
Oh, okay, it was only a 1-barrel.
Okay.
And there's 2 of them over there on my bench. It's a Corvair Spider 1-barrel carburetor that was the idling circuit up to 2,000 RPM. Then the 4 barrels kicked in. Well, the Pontiac gurus seen all this on their test motor, which they blew up, but the goddamn linkage was so complicated they said, no, we're not selling that program. We nixed it. So this Demetrius Tooth is his name, from Detroit. His dad was in the foundry and poured this adapter. That was his grandpa. His dad was in the design department that designed it, and then Demetrius worked for Pontiac. Okay, this is the only working version of that in existence today anywhere in the world.
Wow.
We made the agreement with him for his blueprints that we would make 2 of those adapters, one for us and one for him. So one of our members started out with a block of wood and made this thing look like that blueprint, and then we had it casted. And the D on that part number is Demetrius.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And that car's here in town if you guys got the time
It's
to
a
look
one
at
of none.
one of none.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like that pink car. It's a one of none.
And
Ugliest son of a bitch you ever saw.
Just like the pink car?
Studebaker is,
so we
in my opinion.
we have had that Studebaker in 7 national magazines.
That's killer.
And while I was in there with you guys, I walked down a row to look at a 62 Chevy convertible that I used to have. Only
yeah,
this-
they had a lot of Studebakers there first.
and they
Studebakers.
had Studebakers too, and the Avantis.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike went over and talked with them because I've got an intake manifold for a Paxton supercharger with the carburetor and the bonnet that encloses it all. So I got to call somebody from Illinois there and tell them. So anyway, this Studebaker is about 3 miles out of town in a barn.
Yeah,
But
let's go
you-
look. I'd love to go look at it.
Okay, then 2 blocks that way, my brother-in-law owns a Henry J. What year? 51?
50 or
I
51.
think he
Fifth.
just left yesterday for.
Yep, he did. And I
Oh,
talked
you
to
got
him.
the keys probably, don't you?
Yeah.
Guys? Yeah.
I talked to him. He said, yeah, take him over and show him.
You gotta see that.
Okay, they would definitely go
Now,
see
the
that.
thing about it is, to look at it, you would swear it's a plain ass
Henry J.
Henry J. But the top has been chopped. The fender wells openings have been raised.
It's got a Chrysler 300 drivetrain engine.
Transmission, Hemi,
Custom
4-inch
custom
9 rear
upholstery.
end.
It's a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of stuff, huh?
It's got the Chrysler dash in it, seats, console. Took him 12 and a half years to build it.
Wow.
And he did it.
All
Every single bit of it.
Himself.
paint included.
Included.
Hidden in the roof is a roll bar. You
Yep.
can't see it.
He's never painted before in his life, had he?
Yep.
Does
Nope.
he show
Wait
it
till
a
you see
lot,
this
or is it
paint.
just?
You wouldn't believe the paint job.
He,
Does-
he is
just-
so humble.
Yeah.
So
A
we're
lot of
gonna
those cars. A lot of those cars haven't been seen. You
We're
know,
gonna go
people
see
build
it.
them and they just. It's their toy and they leave it in the garage. They don't take them to car shows. They
Guys,
enjoy it
you
themselves,
guys-
but
you
they don't
guys
get
see
it out
this
to show
Henry
it.
J, you will just.
shit.
Yes, that's
Other
we'll get
than
definitely.
who knows anything about a Henry J? Nobody. You could buy them out of Sears and Roebuck catalogs, guys.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The thing of it is, the dash, like I said, like Rich said, came out of that
Chrysler 300.
Chrysler 300. They're X amount of wide compared to the Henry J, and he cut this down.
He made
put
it
in
fit.
there.
He
You
custom
can't-
made it, and you didn't even
I
tell.
mean, it just.
He's got the
Some of these guys are super skilled.
That's
Mo-
his brother-in-law.
The
I'm
modifications
serious.
that they can do,
Plumbing,
the custom stuff.
electrical, heating, mechanical.
Whatever it is.
Wood
Right.
framing, shingling, welding, name anything.
Yeah.
He can do it. He's just one of those guys.
Yeah. So
There you go.
Oh, he put
you
like
can,
a newer
you can try
dash
them
in it.
light switches over there, Doug. There's one. There's that. Turn them on.
So does this have a modern motor in it?
Yeah.
Hemi.
Out of the 300 Chrysler.
I thought you were meaning an older 300 Chrysler.
No.
Because that's the whole. Were you too?
Yeah.
Because that's all new.
Can't
That's all
find
new
these.
gen stuff. That's like. I mean, even the steering.
Huh?
You know, the
Yes,
whole
he-
dash and everything.
He made the grill. He made the frame.
Holy shit!
It's a Mustang 2 front end,
Look at that.
and then the mural.
So what year was the Chrysler
Yep.
300? When you said Chrysler 300, I thought you were talking about an older Chrysler
No.
300, not a new Chrysler
No.
300.
He put the air conditioning in it. He made these boxes for the computer, for the air or wiper motor, and there's one over there to check brake fluid.
This
Got all
is
the
wild.
Chrysler air conditioning, power seats.
So I would imagine this is full frame all the way back.
Yeah. Got
Yeah.
9-inch Ford 4-bar in there.
Look at this thing.
Cadillac taillights.
This thing's incredible.
Oh, yeah. The paint job is phenomenal, guys.
Just get those under happy, but I can't do it.
The fans work.
They definitely love their cars around here, don't they? Oh, look at that.
Now,
The whole mural.
that was $1,000
And that is so
mirror.
true. All gave some and some gave all.
We're both veterans. But that's got, if you take your hand and put there inside and see how big that door post is, that's a roll bar, 4-post roll bar in here.
Wow.
Same way with up
So
here
it goes
on the
up in
front.
here and
Huh?
around.
Yep.
Yeah,
Look at the headliner in it.
I know. I can feel it. Yeah, he's definitely talented, isn't he?
Yep. They built her all. Now these are the pictures, like he showed you that old number 78. That's when Lloyd and I started in racing. Now all these big tall trophies have been won by this Henry J over here. Now this
I can get on the other side.
old stick welding, we towed it back and forth to drag strip for years.
Oh, the whole front clip comes up like
Yep.
the other car?
Yep.
It will.
You can see our old welds. And that's the intake for that middle carburetor.
2 4 barrels and a single.
Wow.
This is Pontiac and Studebaker, but if you notice close, it's got one orange piece on it. Back in the days, guys, we could not afford a solid axle front end for it. So we extended the spindles and put cans underneath the coil springs, and we raised front end way up. And we had to make these extensions to bring the A-arms down and across. And we had to reinforce the center steering and lower it.
Crazy thing is, it goes straight as a string. And
Straight
when you
as
hit
a
the
narrow.
brakes, it stops straight.
Straight as a
string.
narrow.
It's hard to believe
Yep.
how well it handles. Those are the original headers too, from 1959 or whatever it was.
Yep. But you can see down in there how simple that linkage is that I built for these carburetors. 3 little rods.
That's wild.
Rich,
Yo!
you didn't mention, you and Jim Allen built it. You and Jim Allen did the
This,
linkage.
Oh yeah, yep,
this is the
yep.
casting.
That's
that
what he was talking about, right?
This is the casting he was talking about. Yeah.
It's pretty simple because it only took him a week to do it.
Yeah. And you've seen them blueprints.
Yes, that's this, right?
Yeah. No, that's not that. That's Jim and mine. We threw their blueprint away.
You made
Now-
it. You modified to make it actually work.
Oh yeah. Those seats cost $2.39 back in about 1960. And Frankie, the guy that did
So what's
my
the best it
interior,
did?
does this.
I think it's
We-
about a 9.7.
The gear shift and the emergency
Really?
brake.
Wow. You said 9.7,
Yeah.
112, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best touch is ever. You know when you go down there, you don't want to
Oh,
so
it's-
that's what they were.
And is that a quarter or an eighth?
Quarter.
Really? That's
He
amazing.
forgets.
That's cool.
Hey, you see that?
So anyway,
on there, though?
this is what it's all about.
He told us all about it.
He didn't tell you all about it.
Well, he only told us what he knew. You probably know a little more.
That white circle,
He's got
brake
several
fluid.
people have got several in this car. They read the magazine.
Now we got one more stop.
All right, let's go.
Dave's place.
We don't have to do that.
Yes, we do.
No, we
Yes, we do. Blaine, thanks.
What's your name?
Thank you, Blaine.
Rich Current, goddamn you.
Whew, it's chilly out here.
He's got 3 of the most sought after cars in the world. 57 Chevrolet, 40 Ford, and a 63 Corvette split window.
You have a 63 Corvette split window?
When we get the tube that you're after,
Yeah,
then you'll see it.
I want to see that.
And it's got a. You said you
This
have
got a Chevy engine in it.
what? From me?
Yes.
I have a T5 overdrive in the vet.
So what would you sell this for?
A fair price.
This has been a complete frame off restoration at one time, but it's been quite a
Yeah,
while.
he's enjoyed it.
Yep.
How long have you owned it for?
Help me, Rich. 16, 18 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
I've got a.
Pretty rust free underneath?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
The underneath is just like this.
Yep.
I've
We
got
used to have mirrors under it when we showed it.
Wow. Look at those plates. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Believe it or not, the guy that, I don't know if you've driven down an Iowa gravel road or not.
I've only been to Iowa twice, on the way here and the way back.
This guy lived 5 to 6 miles down an Iowa gravel road. Could you imagine getting this from his house to the highway or vice versa? What it would look like?
Here we can saw her in two.
Be real careful.
I don't think it would make a difference.
We bought the house in '67.
Oh, this house?
Yeah. And this, where you see the different colors of the two cements here.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I tore the garage down.
Yeah. And it was up in that garage when we found it then. And then I built the new garage and we found it up there and put it up. And she's fragile now, fellas. For as long as we don't kill them getting that poster down, we'll be all right, Doug.
Yeah. Hey, let's leave that negative talk.
What a week, man. It was incredible. It was epic, to say the least. We're looking forward to getting started on the Pink Bee and getting that restored. But we're already looking forward to next year's MCACN and what kind of cars we can find this year. So if anybody has any leads, give us a shout. We're more than happy to go and check them out. And we're always willing to pay referral fees and take care of you with merch. And we really appreciate anything that anybody can throw our way.